So welcome back to more Fight Night Champion, where last we left off, Raymond Bishop made it into the top 10, and now he got roped into fighting his younger brother Raymond. So this is just another heavy bag session, where just Gus simply tells Andre that, you know, he can't really cop out on this one. I mean, this is a professional fight after all. But I mean, this is going to be a pretty short part for commentating wise, because this is really more plot centered. And also the fights here are pretty simple and pretty self-explanatory. And just me screwing up a couple times. Nothing too big. I mean, overall, as I've said before, I'm not very good at this particular mini-game. But I do better as this goes on. But yeah, that's really all there is to say for this part. There are going to be a lot more cutscenes this time around. And that's just the weaves. The weaves are a little tricky. I don't really use them all that much. Maybe I should.
Right, getting back here in our Friday Night Fight studios, Raymond Bishop's latest win over top contender Kobe Nichols puts him squarely in the heavyweight title picture. After years of dominance by the champion, Isaac Frost, we now have a situation where both Bishop brothers are considered legitimate challengers for the title. The surprising news from the offices of promoter D.L. McQueen this week is that the Bishop brothers have signed to fight each other, a heavyweight eliminator that's already being billed as sibling rivalry. The winner will earn the right to face Frost in what could be the biggest championship fight in decades.
So now we get to the fight, and overall this is going to be a really short one, because this is one of those scripted fights that is going to happen in this game. Then again, this is kind of an odd way to go into the end, since we are getting pretty close to the end. This is kind of an odd way to set up the game, to have like two scripted fights pretty soon, but it does make for a pretty compelling story in my opinion. But either way, here Andre has to fight his little brother Raymond, as I've already said. And I mean, this is Raymond's chance to, I guess, prove himself as a fighter, and he does care about his legacy too. He does care about, you know, his career as a fighter. I mean, he's been in Andre's shadow for a while, and you know, as a younger brother myself, I can sympathize with Raymond a little bit. I mean, you grew up watching, or in his case, probably grew up watching his big brother do great things, and then, you know, it was the same way with me. And I mean, that's kind of the chip on their shoulder they kind of get, or that you kind of get if you end up being a younger sibling, or if you end up having somebody great you look up to. You kind of want to pass them certain points. And in Raymond's case, he wants to pass his brother, or wants to do better than his brother. And yeah, for this first round, it doesn't really matter what happens. I mean, here I'm just landing a bunch of body hooks, and I am actually getting hit a lot in this fight, or much more than I normally do. And see, the reason for that, as I've said before, I mean, you'll see it when it happens, but this is a really short fight, and yeah, it doesn't really matter what you do for this first round. So I might as well talk about some more things that happened over the week, and one of them being that a lot of people were upset about the Chavez Jr. and Vera fight, but I think the biggest problem I had with it was that Chavez Jr. ends up showing up overweight and then ends up paying the fine instead of, you know, actually having the fight. I mean, paying the fine's all fine and good when you can, I mean, when it creates a fair fight, but in my opinion, that didn't really create a fair fight. That's because you have more weight on them, and honestly, it allows you to buy the fight instead. It's like in one of those RPG games where you, like, buy particular equipment just to help yourself up against a boss. You know, I find extra weight to be like that. Depending on what kind of weight it is, of course, assuming it's muscle. But then again, weight cutting's a pretty difficult process. But it still should be done if you're a professional fighter. But I mean, that's just me expecting a bit much of a professional fighter. Anyway, let's just go into intermission here.
What's going on, kid? You look like crap out there! I mean, let's pick it up, okay? He might be your little brother. He's got a big punch. And he's gonna put you on your ass if you're not careful. So let's get it together. Now!
I've been Big Baby Bishop ever since you wanted to go, man. I never had a chance to be anything else. Never even had a chance to be my own man.
So here's where the scripted part takes place, and notice how my stamina is slowly draining, and this is the part where you're supposed to lose. Anyway, Andre's head really isn't in this fight, and Gus noticed it, and Andre knows it, but when your head's not in the fight, that's how you end up getting hurt, as you will see pretty soon. Yeah, there we go. And yeah, you're supposed to lose this one.
Stay there. You alright, Dre? Sorry I had to knock you out, big brother.
Brian Kenny back here on Friday Night Fights. A shocking turn of events in the battle between the Bishop brothers this past weekend, as Raymond knocks out his older brother, Andre. Andre was unable to beat the count after a big right hand from Big Baby in the second round. The stage is now set for a heavyweight showdown between Raymond Bishop and the champion, Isaac Frost.
So now here we are at the heavyweight championship of the world, and this is going to be the fight with Raymond Bishop fighting Isaac Frost for the heavyweight championship, as I've said before. I didn't keep the intros here because this part is fairly short, and I mean, Raymond doesn't really do anything too special. I mean, he is still a decent fighter, but I mean, talent-wise, he's okay. I mean, he's still a good fighter, but, you know, just not one of those elite ones. And I mean, I didn't find him that tough. But here, you would think, I mean, you were fighting as Raymond, but, I mean, there's a very special twist that happens in this fight, so that's why it's fun to commentate over. And of course, here's Frost's ring walk entrance with the spark showers, the lights, and of course his trainers had to hold the belts because I don't remember if he was the undisputed champion or he was just champion. Then again, considering that there are 4 major organizations now, it's pretty much impossible to keep track of all 4 of those belts at the same time. I mean, I just liked it at 3 better. Personally, I think it should just be 2. But either way, here's what you have to do. You got to get to fight as Frost, and what you have to do is knock out Raymond in the first round, which I thought was a pretty decent twist for this game, and it does add a nice little gameplay element too. I mean, pretty much what I'm trying to do is just corner him and then get him against the ropes and then hit him with some big shots, just like so. And yeah, this is actually a pretty easy fight because Frost doesn't lose any stamina whenever he swings, so you can just swing over and over again and then, you know, keep landing big shots, and then you should be able to take care of him in no time flat. And he's just grabbing. And here I'm having more frame rate issues. But with that, let's see, there's about 20 seconds left here. So with that, I will see you next week for the finale of this series.
Situation has developed here. The paramedics are rushing into the ring.
Come on, Ray, get up, man.
Bishop is absolutely motionless.
Give us some room, people. We need to work.
Isaac, do you feel bad about what happened tonight?
Do I feel bad? No. That's not how this works. This is called boxing. Let me do this. Listen, I'm not gonna cry every time some clown gets hurt, right? Raymond Bishop knew the risks when he stepped into the ring with me. Maybe if he ever wakes up, I'll knock some sense into his stupid ass.
Tell DL he could have whatever he wants. Get me in the ring with Frost.
I know emotions are running high right now, but in the heat of battle, people say things, ugly things. That's all for now. Please. Tell Andre Bishop he doesn't have anything I want.
Everybody wants this fight to happen.
I don't. Candace, could you send Franco to escort my daughter out? Good night, Megan.
Good night, DL.
Good night, Ms. McQueen.
Franco, my father's letting you go down for setting up Andre Bishop.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You will. I'll show myself out.
If I'm going down for the Bishop job, you're going with me. You gave the order.
What the hell are you talking about?
Your daughter just told me that I'm going down for setting up Bishop? How does she even know about that?
Down. She doesn't know anything.
Don't fuck with me, McQueen.
Nobody can prove anything. It's your word against the next con. We're fine.
I still don't like her sniffing around.
Excuse me. I forgot my phone.
If I'm going down for the Bishop job, you're going with me.
I believe Andre Bishop has something you want.
Megan, you can't do this. Megan! Megan! I have to admit, I did not want this fight to happen. Even though both fighters wanted it. Even though the public wanted it. And even though I would have made a ridiculous amount from it, I did not want this fight to happen because I did not want to risk two tragedies happening to the same family. Now we know Raymond Bishop, a fine boxer, a fine young man, is going to recover fully from his injuries. I am proud to announce DL McQueen Promotions is bringing you the fight the challenger has been demanding. The fight the champion has been demanding. The fight you have been demanding. Isaac Frost versus Andre Bishop for the heavyweight championship of the world. May the best man win.